Hello everyone, it's Chris here, and today I want to do a video on what Repulsorlift vehicles from the Star Wars universe that I personally have put on my top 5 list. Please note that the list here may not include the strongest one ever built. This list is made purely out of interest and is only ranking my personal top 5 favorites. Okay, so for number 5, I've chosen the T2B tank. The T2B tank was 9 meters long and had a maximum speed of 80 kilometers per hour. That is even faster than most modern battle tanks today, if not all of them. The T2B tank was a tank constructed by the Lordzirk'S. It was used extensively by the rebel troops during the time of the Galactic Civil War. It was a light-medium tank that was armed with quad rapid-firing laser cannons that would decimate formations of stormtroopers and other soldiers alike, and was somewhat capable of going up against Imperial walkers of the AT-PT as well as AT-ST classes, though it would stretch them to their maximum capacity going up against AT-STs without suffering major losses. The tank in itself was lightly armored and had a fairly strong shield generator, but once its shields were down, it would have to retreat fast. This vehicle was most heavily featured in Star Wars Empire at War and Star Wars Empire at War Forces of Corruption PC games. The fourth spot on this list goes to the predecessor of the T2B called the T1B. It was also constructed by the Lordzirk'S and were also used around the same time as the T2B. The T1B was a little tad smaller than its successor at the length of 8.6 meters. My reason for putting it above the T2B is because the T1B was a lot more versatile. Although it only had 2 instead of 4 laser cannons, the T1B was capable of shooting down low-altitude aircraft due to it having 3 flak pods. Just like the T2B, it was also lightly armored, even a little lighter than the T2B, but still had some fairly strong shields. And we can assume that it was just as fast and maybe even a tad faster than the T2B. T1B was most heavily featured in Star Wars Force Commander PC game. Third spot on this list goes to the AAT, Armored Assault Tank. My reasoning for putting it on this list is because it is simply a really heavy-hitting machine. It was made by Bactoid Armor Workshop, and it was the backbone vehicle of the entire Trade Federation Army and later Confederacy of Independent Systems, and was feared and renowned all the way through the galaxy. It wreaked havoc wherever it made an appearance. It was 9.75 meters long and only had a maximum speed of 55 kilometers an hour. That is around the average speed of main battle tanks today. This thing was heavily armed and armored. It had no shields, but its armor made up for it along with its weaponry that consisted of 1 heavy laser cannon in a turret that could spin a full 360 degrees in a matter of seconds. And then on the sides, it was armed with 2 light laser cannons and 2 anti-personnel blasters. It also had 6 chain-fed energized shell projectile launchers and was all in all one of the most dangerous vehicles for many years. I don't think I need to reference this tank. We all know what it looks like, we all know what it can do, we've all seen it in action. Second place goes to the Canderous class assault tank. This is one really heavy hitter of crime lord Tybersan's consortium. This tank was a serious foe to be reckoned with. It was heavily armed and even more heavily armored. It had 2 heavy laser cannons and a concussion missile launcher. Some would say it had mass driver cannons instead. It was the heaviest vehicle in Tybersan's arsenal and was capable of going head-to-head with Imperial-class AT-AT walkers, something that is incredibly impressive in its own right. It was capable of moving with a fair speed of around 50 kilometers an hour. This tank was however not cheap. It had top-notch armor and shielding technology that allowed it to take the punishment and give it back in full force. Often, it was used to shield and protect other friendly vehicles and was great for both attacking as well as covering the rear in an eventual retreat. This vehicle was built by the Mandalorians, and this vehicle was most heavily featured in Star Wars Empire at War Forces of Corruption. And finally, for number 1. For this I have chosen the TX-130 Sabre class tank. For me, this tank is pure love. If it was a lady, I could have married it, although my girlfriend would probably have a say in the matter. This is my favorite Repulsorlift vehicle of all time in Star Wars. Yes, I know it may seem biased if you've watched my other video where I pit it against the AAT, although I would like to note that if you watch that video, you'll also know the conclusion, and the conclusion is pretty clear in that video. So, no badassery there. The TX-130 Sabre tank was one of, if not the fastest vehicle in the galaxy, excluding speeders and pod racers as well as civilian crafts and such. It was 8.2 meters long and was built by Rothana Heavy Engineering. It was meant to get to the battle fast. It was capable of reaching a speed of 320 kilometers per hour. That is 200 miles per hour, though only for a short time. Also, it was armed with lethal weaponry. It had 2 heavy dual laser cannons and 1 medium laser cannon turret, or beam turret depending on the variant. Also, it had thermal detonator launchers and between 16 to 20 missiles, but some instead carried up to 100 rockets. The drawback that it had was its light armor, but for that it had shields to compensate, and as well as its incredible speed. This thing was fast, maneuverable, deadly towards any enemy it went up against. For me, this vehicle has the perfect balance between armor, firepower, and mobility, which are still the crucial things to take into consideration today when designing a main battle tank. That is why I would also declare this vehicle my number 1 favorite Repulsorlift vehicle of all time in Star Wars history. Well, everyone, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you liked it, why don't you leave a comment, a like, and as well as subscribing for more. I really appreciate the feedback, and I love to talk and debate with you all about this, being it characters, lightsaber styles, frigates, corvettes, vehicles, doesn't matter. Now again, remember that this is only my favorite vehicle, and this list was based on my favorite vehicles. But I've taken up enough of your time already. Now may the Force be with you, and have a great day, night, whatever you're doing. May the Force be with you guys, and we'll see you on the next one.